when I'm looking at resumes, I like them to be the obvious. I like them to be clean. I like them to be error-free, no typos. In the day and age of technology and spell check and that kind of thing, there should be no errors on a resume. Have a friend, a sister, a parent, a sibling, somebody take a look at it, make sure that it is accurate and that you present yourself well. You know, we're all coming at it from different perspectives, but I still like to see an objective that's clear, 1 or 2 sentences. If you're recently out of school and you've got some good credentials, I think a GPA is helpful, especially if it's over a 3-point. And then you want to look at the core competencies that you've really focused on with your previous careers or what you're hoping to accomplish in future careers. And when you kind of boil it down, if you've been working and you're looking at transferring skills, often there are 3 or 4, maybe a half a dozen things that you touch on a daily basis over the course of a year or a month or whatever. Try not to make it too big and make it sound like you do absolutely everything, but narrow it in a little bit and just focus on some real specifics. And as you're preparing your resume, and let's just say you've looked at a classified, you want to make sure that it's customized for this position that you're looking for too, that you're looking at applying for. So when you're making a list of your previous employers and your experience, or you're new into the market, really try to look at it from an employer's perspective. What are we going to want to see? And if we're looking at, 50, 60, I mean, sometimes, we get a lot of resumes that cross our desk. We have to boil it down some way, somehow. So we're looking for keywords. We're looking for key phrases. And so keep that in mind as you're preparing it. One thing I like to see is extracurricular activities too, whether you have the work experience, I want to see what you're doing outside of your job or outside of getting your schooling. And it can be something what we might regard as kind of insignificant, but then it also gives us a feel for how diverse you are, how well-grounded you are. And I kind of hate to use the term well-grounded or well-rounded because what really does that mean? But, if you volunteered at the Cherry Festival, if you're working at McDonald's 5 hours a week to kind of supplement income, show us something. You've been a tutor, you usher at Interlock, and you're a treasurer at your church. I mean, think of those things that you do that are in addition to what you're looking at, as a professional. So I think that kind of carries some weight. So the way I look at your resume is it's kind of like your business card. We haven't met you, we don't know you, it's just one piece of information. That's your only time when we can see your credentials. So make it good, really take the time to make it good. The one thing that I don't necessarily have to see are references. That's just me personally. Often I address the references after I pull someone in for an interview. And if a candidate is prepared, they're going to come to the interview with their list of references, and at that time maybe even some letters of recommendation. So that for me is when I like to look at it. And so it's all about the cover letter, the resume, and just making sure that that's impressing me. The thing that I think we'll all agree on is the cover letter and how important that is. And I look at a cover letter as the way of kind of filling the gaps, if you will. Anticipate what my questions might be. If there's a gap, you were employed from 2007 to 2010, then all of a sudden you picked up employment in 2012, maybe explain that gap. Maybe you went back to school, maybe a parent was sick, maybe you took a fabulous vacation, whatever it is, but try to anticipate what questions we might have. If you are kind of looking at a second career and reinventing yourself, which I think we see a lot of up here, why do you think your previous skills at your previous employer are going to transfer over effectively into a new employer? So explain that to me. Don't let me kind of guess or try to, I can't read your mind, I haven't met you. So explain to me what it is that you're looking for in that regard. Again, your cover letter should be accurate, it should be clean, it should be crisp, it should complement your resume, not as in you're going to see a wonderful resume, but complement it as in I'm going to provide some additional information for you that's going to make you see why I'm a really good candidate. One of the things that's kind of, as I'm interviewing somebody and I want to take them seriously, I'm fully expecting them to have done research on my company. They've done research. They know what the classified said. The cover letter is applying for a plant manager, but yet the resume says, I want to be a medical services salesperson. I mean, you wouldn't believe how many times that happens. You know, so as an employer, we want to know that it's about us, that you're really tailoring it for us. And sometimes it's a real kind of insignificant error that happens that may cause us to take your resume and set it to the side because you didn't pay attention to that kind of detail. So it really is about the detail, and with the job market, I think opening up right now, you want to present yourself in such a way that you surface to the top. And to give you an example, if I'm interviewing, if I have a posting out there, and I've done a couple, I'm trying to think of the ones that I've done this year, and I might get 50 to 60 resumes and cover letters. By the time I filter through the resumes and cover letters, if I'm lucky, I might have a dozen that I take seriously. I don't know if you guys would agree, but maybe a dozen that you would take seriously. And then I take it to the next step and I say, okay, how many of these people do I want to pull in? And again, if I'm lucky, it's maybe 10, maybe 8 or 10. It varies with position and it varies with timing, but so, you know, what's my point? Your resume and your cover letter have to be top-notch. You have to get our attention. And even with the format of the resume, and this might be kind of superficial, but I've seen some resumes where it's just, you know, like one page and everything is crammed together and there are no bullet points, there's no consistency, there's no alignment. Boy, if it's harder for me to kind of filter through and it's a little bit like a maze, that's going to have me more inclined to kind of set you aside. Whereas if I see one that is, it is clean, it is, again, it's crisp, I see your objective, I see where you worked, the dates of your employment are all consistent, they make sense, your language, your description is good, that is going to get my attention. So, you know, some of these sound really basic, but boy, when it comes right down to it, that's what we're looking for.